Chapter 3. Gutenberg's printing press did change the world, at least the European world. Before we could talk about the change that took place in Europe in the 1500s, let's journey further back in time. You may remember that after the fall of Rome in 476 CE, there was no longer a strong government to unite people in different countries. Instead, the Catholic Church took control. It soon became the largest, most powerful institution in Western Europe. The Church united people through a common belief in the Christian God and the Christian promise of heaven. The church was very important to the Europeans in the Middle Ages. It was the social glue that held communities together. It provided instruction on how to live in this world and how to get to the next world. The church gave comfort and protection to those in need. The church was also largely responsible for educating those fortunate enough to receive an education. If you have lived during the period in history, the Catholic Church would have a major focus in your life. Typically, once a week, you would have gone to church to attend Mass. Mass is the central act of worship in the life of a Catholic. Depending on where you live, the church you attended might have been an especially large and beautiful cathedral. Cathedrals are among the most impressive buildings in medieval Europe and would have been a constant reminder of the church's presence, power, and wealth. Most people, however, attend a much larger local church. Okay, boys and girls, so let's look at the question that we have within our Google presentation. In what ways was the Catholic Church important to the Europeans in the Middle Ages? So in what ways, you guys? What ways was the church important? How are they important? I would say after the fall of the Roman Europe, there was no longer a strong government. So the church again took control of many of the things that became important to the Europeans in the following ways. It taught them how to live in the world, to get to the next world, and help people in need, to help educate people, and to provide regular religious ceremonies, right? So after the fall of Europe, they didn't have a fall of the Roman Empire. They didn't have anyone to be their government, to be their guide, to be their leaders. So they leaned or gleaned and learned from the Catholic Church on how to do that. Okay, now, boys and girls, I'm going to have you read the next 2 pages, and then we're going to come back and discuss. Okay, boys and girls. So let's look at this. So what were indulges? What were indulges, boys and girls? So it says here, nevertheless, the money raised by let's look at it in our book, Miss Rogers. Indulgence. Okay, indulgence. These penance was the punishment that the church taught was due after sin was confessed and forgiven. Previously, penance had to be performed before a sin was forgiven. These certificates were called indulgence. So, indulgence were those things after you did something bad, it was your way to fix those things, okay? And then recant. Recant. What does recant mean? That word is familiar. It means to publicly take back an opinion expressed in the past. So if you were to say something and they'd be like, oh no, I definitely didn't mean that. That is something that recant means. Recant means. Okay. So, boys and girls, I'm going to give you a few moments to read page 29 through 31, and then we're going to come back and discuss. Wow, boys and girls, isn't it interesting to see all of these things, kind of these more corrupt things that the church were doing, right? And like I said, it wasn't good for all of these people, all this money, all these certain one group of people to have power, because sometimes, boys and girls, when that happens, people misuse that power and that influence. So let's look at the first question. What were some of the church practices some people thought were corrupt? It said, you guys, let's look at it. It said that the church should include money, the money that they raise, by exchanging indulgence for donations of money, and by allowing wealthy people to buy their way into the clergy, right? So they were paying. So instead of saying, hey, we're just going to do this, or you're forgiven because you're forgiven, they would say you can pay for your forgiveness. And you can pay for, instead of working and earning a position within the church, you had to pay your way to do that, which we know is not right, right? So we're going to stop right here and then pick up with our next video.